the internet because a lot of bad...
Oh boy, this topic again. Yes, let's also look at the internet. I'm sure we find many, many things there.
Things are happening to young kids and young minds, and their minds are being formed. And we have to do something about maybe what they're seeing and how they're seeing it. And also video games. I'm hearing more and more people say the level of violence on video games is really shaping young people's thoughts.
Yes, media does shape our thoughts, as does any form of external stimuli.
And then you go the further step, and that's the movies. You see these movies, they're so violent, and yet a kid is able to see the movie if sex isn't involved.
Well, there are R-rated movies which have lots of violence and no sex. It's still an R-rated movie. Kids can't get into that.
But killing is involved, and maybe they have to put a rating system for that. And
so you want a separate movie rating system just for violence? I mean, I don't really care, but I guess.
You know, you get into a whole very complicated, very big deal. But the fact is that you are having movies come out that are so violent with the killing and everything else that maybe that's another thing we're going to have to discuss.
Considering there's been violent movies since the 20s and 30s, I think there might be some other mitigating factors involved in people going to schools and shooting them up.
And a lot of people are saying it. You have these movies today where you can go and have a child see the movie, and yet it's so violent and so disgusting. So we may have to talk about that also.
I'm all for parents not bringing their children to an R-rated movie just because I like to be quiet, but I don't know if you could actually enforce rules on individual cinemas of children being in the seats. I don't know what the rules are, but I'm quite sure the federal government doesn't have authority over that. Yet.
So what do you think about having some of your school teachers, your high school teachers, be armed with concealed weapons?
Well, it's right there in the question. They're teachers. They are not soldiers. They did not go to school to learn how to mold the lives of the future, to have to be faced with the responsibility of knowing whether or not they get into a fight with a student, an argument with that student that day, and maybe they think the student is a little more sensitive than they expected. And the student reaches in his backpack for a pencil or a notebook, and they think they're reaching for a gun.
That is clearly a hypothetical, but if any student is bringing any kind of firearm to a school, it would be logical to have the people in the school who work there to be able to defend themselves at an appropriate level. And it doesn't necessarily have to be teachers, it could be security guards or others. This is a picture apparently from 1973 of a teacher and a student guarding a Delaware high school after someone called in a shooting threat during a morning class. Nothing ever happened.
I'm also doing it, I'm gonna go back. I'm doing it for them because they would want me to go back and be strong, and they can't go back. So,
while I'm all for having multiple reasons, motivations to do something in life, you're going to school because you're a student.
According to the sheriff down in Broward County, there will be armed sheriffs with rifles protecting you. How do you feel about that?
It's cuts right down the middle, you know. I will feel protected knowing that our sheriffs are there, but sheriffs are people too, and they make mistakes, and they're bringing a lot of those possible mistakes into our property, our campus.
You're a senior.
Okay, you don't trust the cops, I get it, but would you rather have no guns when someone brings a gun to school? Or would you actually have the actual police there, ready to protect you? Although it was odd that CNN also reported that 4 deputies of the sheriff's department who were the first on the scene did not enter the building first.